Hi everybody. I wanted to do a video on drawing a robot because they're so fun to draw and really truly super simple. I have a couple tiny examples that I drew in small and I want to talk to you guys about the only thing that you need when you're drawing a robot is shapes. And if you look at this robot, for example, um, the entire robot from top to bottom is putting different shapes together. Like the head is this trapeze shape. There I have a shape that looks like a rectangle. The chest part is a larger rectangle. Here, this is the bottom of the foot. This is the leg. So same on the bottom robot, same thing. I did my shapes. So these are the shapes that I came up with and I put them together. Now, one thing I always do when I draw a robot, I still make sure that the robot has a head, a chest, legs, and arms. And then another thing I do is to make it a little easier, wherever the joints are, not always, I often use a circle. Now, one thing or another thing super important, I'm assuming my robot is made out of metal. So to create the illusion of metal, I actually add dots. So for example, look at this. This is just a square, but if I add dots to that square, it immediately looks like as if it's made out of metal. So that's what I do, kind of adds a little bit to my drawing. But there is no right or wrong how you put your shapes together. So I did this one. I colored it. This arm is going up, this is down. Another thing sometimes I do is when I color, I'm assuming it's metal found in some pile and it might be differently colored. So this guy just colored after he was done. And then with this one, I actually drew the robot, but then I added my own little metally thingy. Oh, see my bumblebee? I should have put dots here because whatever else I add, I like to make it look like as if it's made out of metal. Like the grass looks like it's metal and the flower that I added. Okay, let's get going. So one thing I know is I want to make sure that my robot, I want to have a whole robot from head to toe. So very first thing we're drawing is a shape for the head. Now one thing is there are different types of shapes. Shapes are lines that are drawn and they're closed together. So which gives you a shape. Now a robot, it's made out of metal, so the shape is usually not organic or curved. So what I mean by that is if you draw, let me use this, I probably wouldn't draw organic or curvy shapes to make something look like metal because the metal is usually straight or angled. All right, okay, so actually, before I draw my shape for my head on my paper, I want you guys right now draw a shape for the head on your paper and put it somewhere at the top part of your paper. I'm gonna draw mine like this. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it look like metal, and remember, making it look like metal, add some dots. Okay, now comes the eyes, and the eyes, just like this one right here, you can have another shape for the eye, triangle, rectangle, square. I'm gonna make this in a dot for the pupil, and this is kind of a diagonal right here. So the mouth, I like my robots to have noses. You don't have to draw a nose. So you can add a nose and then you can add a mouth. In this example, I just made it look like, I wanted it to look like a wire that I angled. This guy, I didn't draw a nose. I gave it one eye, and I drew a square and then angle lines for the teeth and colored it in. So there is really truly no right or wrong how you actually add the mouth or the nose. I'm gonna draw a nose. I just like noses. Like that. Okay, I'm gonna give mine eyebrows, and I'm gonna do a couple dots right here. So how about an antenna? So this guy has an antenna, one antenna, and I drew a rectangle and then a couple curvy lines. This guy or this girl, actually, I wanted to make this look like a robot girl, has an antenna, zigzag, angle lines up, a little bit of hair. And this guy only has a straight line up. So how about an antenna? Okay, next is ears. I'm just assuming my robot has ears. Look at these, different shapes, triangle, square, this half of a circle. These are a little different. So let's add some ears. I'm gonna add some shapes. And then your lines or your shapes do not have to be the same. It's a robot. You make it up. You put it together. Okay. So before I draw the chest, which the chest is the largest part of your robot, the chest is the part that is like the engine, the brain of your whole robot. The chest is probably the largest shapes. So I'm gonna add a neck, tiny neck. Okay, now comes the fun part, which is the chest, and I'm gonna make this the largest shape. And remember, don't forget your dots. Okay, so now here I have to think about a couple things. Maybe there are buttons. Maybe there is something that where you can read writing. Maybe there are all kinds of switches and screws and all kinds of stuff. So here, this is your whole robot operation. So the brains of your robot, whatever you want to add here. I'm gonna give my robot a heart. He has, I don't know what that is. I really don't. I'm gonna separate some shape right here. If I color it, I'm gonna do it differently. And there's a switch. All right, okay. So next comes let's do the feet first. So let's look at a couple examples right here. So this guy, they almost look like people feet. I drew a square, a long rectangle, a circle. They're almost identical, both feet. A little bit different, but similar in shape. Where this guy, I made them completely different. This is a completely different shape than this circle over here. Same length, however, completely different shapes. And this one, I only drew almost like as if this robot has one leg. So, and then a robot doesn't have to have legs. You can make it into, I don't know, wheels or something. So let's draw some legs. I'm gonna draw my rectangle. get another big one. He's gonna have large feet. He looks like a giant. So add some details to your drawing. Woo, looks like you're looking up towards the head. Isn't that cool? So now I'm gonna do my second leg. And I'm gonna add some other details. And this one, he's gonna have a different leg. Whoa, that's one strange looking leg, isn't it? Whoa, he's huge. Okay, so now comes the arms. Same thing. And the arms is, when you draw the arms, it's so cool. So I generally think of this is a joint. I always draw this as a curved line. Here of my elbow and here's my hand. And what you put in between is up to you. But he can have the arms go up, the arms go down. There can be all kinds of weird clamps and fingers. And look at this guy. Look at how there's like tiny circles put together. But I start out with this. Then the upper arm, the elbow, the lower arm, the hand, and then the fingers. Or this looks like that. Here are a couple ideas. Look, he has both arms down, looking down, where he has both arms kind of looking up. So it's up to you. Let's put some arms on this guy. I think he's gonna have big arms hanging down. I'm gonna start out with my joint. And he's gonna be how about whoa, look at that. He looks cool. On it, just a couple lines. So now I'm gonna give him, he has a clamp, like a finger, like that. Like that. Okay, one arm. So now other one, you can have it same length, it can be up. I think this one I'm gonna make it a little bit shorter. Here, this is his joint. And so the more details you add to your robot, the more kind of realistic he looks, or alive, not realistic, alive. Like buttons, screws, bolts, some other lines that you make up. He needs fingers. What could I do for fingers? I think I'm gonna do Okay. I think that's it. So now you got your robot, however yours might look. Now you can do the same thing. Remember this guy, I actually added some grass, I added this flower, I added a bumblebee. If I would add a dog, I would think about how could I make this dog look like a a robot made out of metal. And you can do that by using straight lines, rectangles, squares, triangles, and then definitely adding the dots that make it look like as if he's made out of metal. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to color this guy in. All right, that's my robot. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.